Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sleepy Jazz, and today I want to talk about the Fatui Harbingers and talk about the question, are the Fatui Harbingers are the Fatui as a whole, are they really evil or what? Because a lot of the recent events, from us working with the Fatui against the Abyss attacks and Natlan, to the Abyss having some sort of huge operation here and Notcry, and things like that, it seems as though Hoyoverse can't make up their mind on whether or not the Fatui are evil or not. And today I want to talk about this because I think this is a very interesting thing to think about. Now, I think the answer to this is pretty simple. They're a very gray area. Like a lot of people were saying, their morality is more of a gray area rather than it just being black and white. And also, it also really heavily depends on what Harbinger or what Fatui character you're speaking on in specific terms. Now, of course, the main goal and, I guess, quest of the Fatui Harbingers is to retrieve all seven Gnosis and bring it to the Tsaritsa, because obviously I think she wants to use it to awaken the heavenly principles and try to take down the unknown goddess we met herself. But each Fatui Harbinger also has their own goals and their own ideals, hobbies, whatever you want to call them, in mind. Of course, a prime example is, I don't know how you say his name, Daughter,
Have you
Daughtera?
decided where you will go from here?
Or something. Yeah, I think that's how, the doctor is pretty much what he's called. He was known for experimenting on people. Khaled, who we met in Sumeru, was actually one of his victims. And obviously, from a lot of things, you can tell he would pretty much stoop to any level to do what he wants and things like that. I think you can say the same for a lot of the Fatui Harbingers, or almost all of them, really. And obviously, it's still hard to tell because of how we don't really fully know them well. They're very morally gray area, because some of them, like, they hate the traveler, they don't want the traveler getting in their way, but for some of them they also tolerate the traveler. It's not really like a liking to the traveler, it's more of they just tolerate the traveler because the traveler has helped them. For example, Arlecchino did trust the traveler because of Linny and Lynette meeting the traveler first. The traveler is really the only Fatui harbinger that slightly seems like he has more of a liking rather than just a simple tolerance toward the traveler. The child is also a very interesting and odd character of the Fatui Harbingers, honestly. And I'm gonna give you a few examples of what I mean by like a morally gray person. The best example is probably Arlecchino, I would say. I know a lot of people were saying like, oh no, she's a bad person because, she was pretty much using the orphans as war weapons and things like that. However, it is kind of shown that she does care about Linny, Lynette, and Fremine, and all of them, at least in my opinion. Because if she didn't care about them, I feel like she would have done the old rules of the how what is it called, the house, the orphanage, something like that. I feel like she would have stuck to the old rules and would have killed them off, because I forgot all what happened in that quest, but I just know that like, if she didn't truly care about them deep down, then she wouldn't have protected them. And even though she was fighting with them, she didn't stoop to as far as killing them, because I think that she cares about them. At the end of the day, she just sees them as her children, and she didn't want to continue the rules that were set in place by the last father, because she had a friend that actually died because of those rules. But also at the same time, Arlecchino does not have any strong emotions, and she actually says herself she cannot have strong emotions because if it gets out of control, her power could pretty much annihilate the entirety of Tevat. the Crimson Moon thing, I think it's what it is. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I do remember her saying that she has to suppress emotions, and she has pretty much just mastered not really feeling any emotion at all because it can cause her powers to spiral out of a control. And of course, an example of a Genshin character who would be more on an evil side of things, of course, would be the Doctor, like I said. He did horrible experiments on people, as Kale was one of his. I don't know what you would call them. I don't know, I'm calling her a victim. Kale was one of his victims, and she is like extremely traumatized from the experiments he did, of course, because whenever Paimon even goes to just touch her, she freaks out, got scared, and ran away due to the trauma she had from when she was being experimented on. Now, of course, the Fatui as a whole are just the type of people they're pretty much business people in a sense. They tolerate people they see as useful that would work with them, and they absolutely hate and will get rid of anybody that stands in their way. I mean, I don't know if I can compare them to business people, but I mean, I guess I could. I mean, billionaires are really evil. But anyway, you kind of get what I mean, you know? Like, if they don't have to like you as a person, but like if you're willing to work with them business-wise, they'll tolerate you more than likely. But if you show any type of disagreement, I guess I could say, toward them, then they will despise you and they will go after you because they don't want you in their way. They see you as an obstacle. And the Traveler's done like a mix between, I think, like helping the Fatui with, yeah, she's done a mix of helping the Fatui with things while also stopping some of their operations. Because again, like I said, the Fatui will stoop to any level to achieve what they want. What happened to my cursor? Where's my cursor? Okay, there. And I do want to mention this before anybody comments about it. When it comes to Child, I do know that we did kind of try to stop his plan, thinking like we knew what was going on and stuff like that. Well, we didn't know what was going on, but we still tried to stop his plan. And you know, he still tolerates us, and a lot of you were probably like, well, what about him? And all I gotta say is Tartaglia has pebbles for brains, so I don't know. But I honestly think I do know that Hoyoverse is definitely having a lot of us have mixed feelings about the Fatui constantly for a reason. Obviously, because we're going to Snezhnaya and we'll be meeting the Sarita. And I think that we will end up working with the Fatui in Snezhnaya, despite a lot of them probably hating us and having mixed feelings about us. But they're gonna have to work with us anyway. And I feel like there is going to probably be at least one more Harbinger that ends up dying. And I can't really, I don't know who, because we still haven't met all of them. We just met technically two more, even though Columbina isn't really a part of the Fatui anymore. But we still have more of them to meet in Snezhnaya. I don't know if we'll meet another in Nodcry, I don't know. And another Harbinger we have met, that we just actually met here in Nodcry, Sandrone. I think I said her name right. Sandrone. I don't. I know she says, like, she tries to act like she hates the Traveler and stuff like that, but I gotta be honest, she has the personality of sober Seat Lolly, but if Seat Lolly hated the Traveler instead of liking the Traveler and being obsessed with the Traveler. That's literally it. Also, since I'm also going over specific Harbingers we have already met, I also want to talk about who we now know as Wanderer. I forgot his. Oh, Scaramouche. AKA Scaramouche. Um, we meet him actually way back when we were in Inazuma. Is technically his first appearance outside of an event that Genshin did. So some people actually didn't even get to meet him until Inazuma, because I also didn't do the event where that he was first introduced in, so I was really confused on how we already knew him when I was doing the Inazuma quest. Anyway, of course, at the time, who we knew as Scaramouche was somebody you would pretty much consider evil. He was actually created by A herself, and pretty much he was, I guess, abandoned in a sense, is the way he felt. Anyway, of course, this is Archon Quest spoilers, but you guys probably already been through these Archon Quests. But anyway, as we get to Sumeru, we learn that the people of Sumeru actually really hate their god, aka, their Archon, Nahida. For some reason, they were blaming her for the death of the other god, and they were trying to build a new god, their own god. And guess who was a part of this plan? Scaramouche. Of course, traumatized puppet dude trying to become a god. I have no idea. But anyway, we go through, we fight him, and Nahida takes the electro-gnosis out of his hands because he wasn't even going to turn the gnosis into the Tsaritsa, I don't think. He was actually using it for his own personal gain. And after this, he is also given a vision, I think. Yeah, this is after, I think. He's given a vision, but then... And then he also tries to... I forgot. I think we were in... Oh, where were we when this happened? Okay, anyway, he was helping us with... I think it was something to do with the ley lines and the Ermine Soul. He went to go try to erase himself from everybody's memories and pretty much erase his existence from Teyvat, and we couldn't necessarily stop him in time, and then it happened, and then of course we went on a hunt for him, even though he changed his looks up a little bit. He wasn't different enough for us to not be able to spot him. We chased him around, and he forgot who he was himself, and we ended up being able to give him his own name and everything like that. So he was more of evil turned good, I guess, in a sense. I mean, he doesn't really do any harm anymore, I don't think, in any story quest at all. And in fact, everybody has forgotten he was even a harbinger, and of course about his existence. They only know him as what we know as what he is now, which is the Wanderer, or whatever we named him. I forgot what I even named my Wanderer. I don't even have Wanderer. Ah, yes, Dookie. Because I was trying to name him Scaraboobs, and it would not let me, so I just went with Dookie. It's the first thing that came to mind. I did not want to give him a serious name whatsoever, like I did with Alfonso, which is the, what are they called? The things in Natland, the dinosaurs in Natland. You know, you get a little baby dinosaur and you get to name it. I actually put a serious name for that one. For some reason, Wanderer is just Dookie. Oh well. And I think the final one specifically we've met that I haven't talked about is La Senora. Rest in piss. I never really liked her, of course, as I'm not supposed to, because she's portrayed as more of an evil character within the Harbingers, because, for one, she kicked the shit out of Venti and stole his Gnosis, which at the time we obviously seen as bad, but then later on in the story, we actually kind of understand that it seems like the Archons are more of like willingly giving their Gnosis away to the Fatui, because of course they don't need the Gnosis to fully have their powers. It's just, I don't know, support, I guess. However, so far it seems the only Archon that technically had their Gnosis really stolen from them was Venti for some reason. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, that's actually weird. Very suspicious. But it also could be that La Senora took it by force, automatically instead of trying to negotiate with him and things like that, like the other Archons actually did somewhat. Now, the thing is that La Signora was actually tricked when she went to get the Electro-Gnosis, because at the time the Raiden Shogun was not actually in hold of the Gnosis and was fully prepared to fight the Raiden and was fully prepared to fight La Signora because she was pressing on about the Gnosis, and I think that the Raiden Shogun wouldn't give her a full direct answer that she did not have it. And then, of course, we came in, we end up fighting her, and then, of course, the Raiden Shogun ends up killing her because she is seen as a threat to Inazuma. Now, please correct me if I did get any of my information wrong, or just tell me anything I might have missed about a Harbinger or something, because I am, like, it's hard for me to remember everything about the Harbingers we've met, and things like that, because I'm not a lore skipper in any shape, way, or form. I love lore, I always listen to dialogues, but a lot of things sometimes just slip my mind, or sometimes I kind of just get confused on like what I remember with the story and the Harbinger specifically, because there's just so much with the Fatui. I completely forgot about one more Harbinger, Capitano. I'm sorry. Of course, he actually wasn't really in Natland to collect the Gnosis himself. I don't remember, I don't think, from what I remember. He had his own goals as to why he wanted to stop the Abyss and help Natland. Because, of course, as we all know, in his heart, pretty much, he carried the souls of those he loved from Conria and promised to put them at peace. So, whenever Mavwika used that really extremely powerful power, I forgot the name of it. It had something to do with the Ruler of Death, but anyway, after she used that and met with the Ruler of Death, Capitano came, appeared out of nowhere, and made a deal with the Ruler of Death, which was pretty much to let him take Mavwika's place because he wanted to be put at rest because he had the curse of immortality put on him, and his physical body was just slowly rotting away with the curse as he was carrying his former companions from Conria with him. And of course, the Ruler of Death accepted this deal after a little bit of negotiation. And of course, he now sits and in some let me look on the map actually, we'll see. Now he sits in, I can't pronounce that, but he is right here. We can actually teleport over here, and then you'll see him sitting on the throne. He's still breathing, his physical body is still breathing because he has the curse of immortality, meaning that his body is still alive and will still probably function for eternity, obviously. However, his soul itself, I believe, is what is able to rest, and he no longer feels the pain of the immortality curse, I believe. Throne of the Primal Fire, here he is, and if you kind of turn your camera, you can see that he is physically breathing. Now, of course, he is the one that actually kind of sent the Fatui, his comrades, to help Natland because he wanted to meet with he had the plan for Mavwika to help her with defeating the Abyss and everything, so that way he could pretty much lay the souls he carried to rest and himself as well.
When the night is gone, and
I actually can't remember if the Fatui got the Pyrognosis or not. I'm actually gonna research this really quick because this is important information to me. Okay, no, they did not. That's exactly what I remembered, actually. The Fatui did not get the Gnosis yet. They might still get the Gnosis. Who knows? They might not. But it seems as though Capitano had no intent Capitano obviously had no intention of fully taking the Gnosis. He wanted to help Natlan with the Abyss, because the Abyss are obviously a common enemy between the Fatui and literally every other living being in Teyvat. Anyway, to summarize this video pretty much, I think that the question of whether the Fatui are evil or not is a question that actually can't really be asked because it's such a gray area. It really depends on the specific Harbinger and in what case you're asking, because honestly, I feel like taking the Gnosis wasn't really an evil thing because, of course, they were actually somewhat willingly given, besides Venti's Gnosis, but of course, I feel like the more we play the story, the less evil they kind of seem, as they all kind of have reasons for what they do, even though they do kind of stoop to some pretty low lows to get what they want and to do things for the Saritsa. And again, like I said, I think they're intentionally not directly evil and that we have mixed feelings about the Fatui because we're supposed to. They're a very large organization, so some of them individually are pretty much evil, but the Fatui as a whole really cannot be deemed as evil or good. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. And again, comment anything I might have gotten wrong, anything I might have missed, because again, I do forget things and I do need reminders. Also, comment your opinion on if you think the Fatui is good or if the Fatui is evil, or if you agree with me that they seem to just be in more of a morally gray area than anything. And that's all I have for now, so bye!